Good evening, everyone. Tonight we are meeting to act on 3 items related to the Police Accountability Board. The special meeting will come to order and the clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Present.
Councilmember Lightfoot,
Present, ma'am.
Councilmember Martin, Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Councilmember Pio,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Vice President Lupian,
Here.
President Melendez.
Here.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Hazel. Councilmember Martin was entering the meeting when you called her name. I'm not sure if she heard it.
I didn't, but I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Martin.
Thank you.
Great. Councilmember, excuse me. I'm going to ask the council to join me in a moment of silence. Councilmember Gruber, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned earlier, before we conduct the business, the Police Accountability Board was created by City Council at the will of the people of Rochester to hold our police department accountable to the people of Rochester. And while we have been patiently waiting for that important work to begin, City Council must now take steps to be certain that the PAB is being held accountable to the people it serves, the citizens of Rochester. The council created this board and we're responsible for oversights on its budgets, but we are not the PAB's HR department, and we do not get into the weeds on personnel issues. While the citizens of Rochester have been patiently waiting on an update, it is imperative that an independent outside entity take on the task of investigating all allegations and provide council and PAB with recommendations. Tonight, I am introducing a 3-point accountability plan. We will hold a vote to allocate money for this investigation. This will be the last time this council intends to discuss specific PAB personnel issues publicly until the outcome of the investigation. Once the investigation is complete, we will review and pursue the recommendations, and we will initiate a select committee to focus on outcomes of this process, which we will establish with a vote tonight as well. While this investigation is ongoing, we will also initiate a moratorium on hiring until the investigation is complete. Any hiring or expenditures will need to be approved by myself or designee, and only with particular consideration when it pertains to accepting complaints from the public. These measures will be put in place to ensure a fair process and fiscal monitoring while the investigation is underway. The outcomes of the investigation, with the exception of sensitive personal information, will be made available to the public and will be as transparent as possible. With that, I would like to move to our business for this evening. Introductory number 186 is legislation authorizing the Police Accountability Board to enter into agreement with outside legal counsel to investigate personnel complaints. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion carries.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 9-0 into the record.
Introductory number 187 is a resolution creating a moratorium for hiring and instituting additional spending controls at the Police Accountability Board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Was there a nay in there? Sorry.
Yes, I'm a no on that one.
Just President Melendez, normally we have a little discussion. I just want to make this point. I know that we're looking at hiring freezes, things of that nature going forward, but I would offer for consideration at a later date that we also consider a forensic analysis of the finances that have been used in the past.
Duly noted, Councilmember Lightfoot. We'll get to working on that as well.
I also wanted to make a comment that, you know, I understand that spending needs to be more scrutinized without an executive director, but that, you know, and I've spoken to you about this, that priority be given to giving them administrative help should they need that.
Vice President, that is something that I'm sure we'll be talking about in the coming days as well. Okay, so
President Melendez, can I ask one question retroactively on the last introductory?
yes, Councilmember Gruber.
I understand that the agreement with the firm has a do not exceed for a dollar amount. Is there a deadline? I'm sure that it's hard to predict a deadline when you don't know what you're going into for an investigation. But do we have a stated deadline for when the work has to be done?
Yes, in the transmittal and the resolution, I believe there's it's kind of loose, but 30 days or so. And we're hoping that this is a 30 to 45 day endeavor.
Thank you.
Going back to the introductory about spending, when you say direct council supervision over expenditures, do you mean you, President Melendez, and the PAB liaison, or is this going to be something that comes to the council as a whole to evaluate? What does that materially look like?
I think materially, we're not spending unless it's pertaining to hearing complaints. That's pretty much what we're going to focus on. You know, if there's some clerical needs or some other things that are basic stuff, we certainly will entertain all those things. We just don't want to have excessive spending while there's not a leader in place.
Right, and I guess who makes the decision? Like, does that come to the council as a whole, or does it go to you when you make the decision?
That will come to me or my designee, which would then be James.
So the chief of staff, James Smith, would be in charge of council approving and denying council expenditures of the PAB.
Under a moratorium situation temporarily until the investigation is done, yes.
Are you asking if he's going to be making the decision whether or not to approve it, or if he's actually going to be the one approving it? Is that the question? Which question are you answering, President Melendez?
So in terms of the expenditures that come before us, it will be that either myself or James will move it forward or not in this period.
And you will be the only one making the decision on that, or will there be some discussion?
I think at this time it would be during this period, I would be making the decision on that.
Yes, you and James Smith.
That's correct.
Actually, it seems as though
It's and or if he designates Smith. It's like, for instance, if he's out of town, he can't do something or something like that, or you're you know, incapacitated in some form, I would imagine, then you have the right to designate another person, correct? Which in this terms you're identifying as James Smith.
That's correct.
But ultimately, responsibility lies on you, Mr. President. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If I could clarify, just so the council understands how the system works. Munis is the system that we use to approve expenditures. And so I'm the Munis user that is at the, the top of the city council approval chain. So I would be approving those expenditures at the direction of the president of city council.
Mr. Just for clarification and for understanding, an example is no different than or similar to approving even some of our expenses for our aides. You are giving that opportunity to be able to do that, correct? Because of the position you have in Munis, correct? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
so to be clear, James Smith will not be running PAB.
No, that's correct. And just really quick, I don't believe we entered the vote into the record. So I just want to make sure we do that, Clerk Washington.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-1 into the record with Councilmember Martin voting no.
Okay, introductory number 188 is a resolution creating a select committee of the City Council related to the Police Accountability Board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. The motion.
No.
Clerk Washington.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-1 into the record with Councilmember Martin voting no.
And
There
room
should-
for,
Excuse me, yes, Councilmember Martin?
it doesn't discuss how this committee would be created. There are no details around that.
Yes, so Councilmember Martin, at this point, the details are that we're going to select membership in the coming days. Similar to when we split Recreation and Human Services from Public Safety, we did the committee split and then we announced the membership later. So that's what we're doing here is we're just creating the committee. This committee will accept, certainly all of council will receive the report, but this committee will be responsible for receiving the recommendations following the investigation and helping with the implementation of whatever the recommendations are.
Just another point of clarification or another comparison. When Daniel Pruitt was happening and we hired the Sully investigation, because of the administrative piece, there had to be someone assigned to be able to receive those documents legally. And so I believe that that's an administrative legal clause that by our charter, if I'm not mistaken, that has to be in place. And there was a special committee of 2 that was before where we had, I believe it was Malik Evans and Mike Patterson, if I'm not mistaken, during the Daniel Pruitt. They had no involvement in the investigation whatsoever. They were only an administrative piece on record, on paper, to be able to receive the documents on behalf of City Council.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Lightfoot. All right, if there's no other miscellaneous business to come before the council, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.